Hey, good afternoon, Marty. How you doing?
It is good afternoon, Joe.
it,
You've had a challenging day already?
it
It
was,
is
yeah, well, a little
afternoon.
bit. More an afternoon, right? Yeah, no, it's been a great morning and early afternoon so far. So
Yeah.
glad to have you on board again for another PSA BizTech podcast. It's on a Monday here, so getting ready to get started. And today we're going to have a really interesting conversation. I'm really looking forward to it. We'll be discussing the business and technology behind Fanuc America. They're one of the leaders in the industry of robotics in the United States, and we're going to be joined by one of their leaders as well. He's spent over 3 decades there with them. So it's going to be a real nice podcast here and learn more about him and the company. So in 1982, Marty, Fanuc was, I'm sorry, 1956 rather, Fanuc was founded in Japan. They started their journey focused on the development of servo motors and CNC controls. So in 1982, that's when Fanuc brought their technologies to the United States in the form of industrial robotics. So today, Fanuc is the global leader in CNC systems, robotics, and robo-machines with over 40 million products installed worldwide. And so today we're going to unpack all that, learn more about Fanuc America and Fanuc worldwide. But if our listeners would like to learn more about Fanuc America, they can visit their website at www.fanucamerica.com. So Marty, I do have the distinct pleasure of introducing Dick Motley. Dick Motley is the director of Fanuc America's Authorized Systems Integrator Network and General Industrial Global Sales Coordination. Dick joined Fanuc America, back then known as GMF Robotics, in 1990 and has held a variety of engineering and sales management positions, most recently running the southeastern U.S. region of operations in Charlotte, North Carolina, prior to accepting his new global role. He holds a BSME with distinction from Penn State University, we are, as well as
Penn State.
two as well as two patents for innovations in automated systems. I'm looking forward to learn more about that. In addition, he collaborates with other Fanuc Group subsidiaries worldwide to ensure a consistent customer experience and seamless support for non-automotive multinational clients whose strategic plans include deploying robotic automation on a global scale. Dick, good afternoon. How you doing?
Great to be here, Joe. Thanks.
Wow. So again, I'm really excited about this. You've had quite a career at Fanuc America, nearly 35 years, I guess. Congratulations to that.
Thanks.
I want to say that for sure. So, hey, tell us a little bit more about yourself, and then just a little bit about your career path at Fanuc.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. So you got to go in the Wayback Machine a little bit. Coming out of Penn State, young Nittany Lion, starting his career, and my first stop was with General Electric, and you have to kind of again rewind a little bit and know that this was Jack Welch's General Electric, a pretty exciting place to be. Jack was in the middle of taking GE from a $14 billion company in 1981 to 20 years later a $400 billion company in a space of 20 years. And I was there like right in the midst of that. Again, it's kind of hard to imagine with the situation today, but there was a time when GE was the world's most valuable corporation. So it was an exciting place to be. I was fortunate enough to be part of an internal automation group that was serving the needs of GE businesses. So we did automated systems for the appliance division that we were officially part of, but also for lighting and aircraft engines and some of the other divisions. And out of that work, I made contact with then GMF Robotics. And one thing led to another, and I made the decision to leave GE and join GMF in 1990. So that was kind of the start of it all. GE gave me a great foundation in automation that serves me to this day. They really kind of had a sink or swim kind of approach to young engineers, and they gave me the chance to experience a lot of things, learn a lot of things, mentor me well. and that carried well over to GMF because of how similar the industry is. So,
Yeah.
and then here at GMF, started out in a product management role, a pretty deep technical role, and then kind of went on loan for a little bit to a systems group that we have that at the time was executing a nationwide program for the United States Postal Service.
Mm.
And then after we wrapped up that program, went back into my prior engineering role up until 2008 when I made the jump over to support our integrator business, which we'll talk about, I think, as part of this podcast, and served in a role that was really focused on the companies in our integrator network that focused on packaging applications. And out of that, got an assignment to go down and help with some succession planning at our Southeast Regional facility outside of Charlotte. And a few years after that, came back to headquarters here in Southeast Michigan to help with some more succession planning. I joked that at the time I was the youngest of the old guys, so I had a few years left to help with succession planning. So that's where I am today.
Yeah, Joe, can I jump in right away? Forgive me.
Absolutely.
I just, what kept you there? You were with GMF and you're still there. Was it the learning opportunities? Was it the innovation? Was it the exciting work? What kind of kept you involved and engaged and continuing to work there? What was exciting about it?
Yeah, great question, Marty. And it looking back, it just kind of happened. But if I think about what you just asked, as an engineer by training, robotics are a pretty exciting field, right? And the industry is always changing. Technology is always advancing. We're finding new customers to serve, new applications to do, ways to integrate with other technologies to just go further and faster and better. It's also been a lot of fun these last few years when I've had a more sales-oriented role. Just really enjoyed the people. I just really enjoy my customers. And there's a lot of great folks out there doing a lot of great work to help I won't say U.S. because it's Canada as well, but North American manufacturers and logistics folks to take our technology and create solutions that basically advance their business. So it's a lot of factors rolled up in one. If like I said, I'm an engineer by training, so robotics are kind of cool. If you're going to be in the robotics industry, the industrial robots, not service robots or medical robots, whatever.
Yeah.
If you're going to be in industrial robots, might as well be with the leader, and that's Fanuc.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Joe, back to you.
And so that was exciting times, in the early stages, I would think, in your career, seeing the development of the robotics industry, coming into the United States. And Fanuc, I understand, took a very aggressive approach in how they strategically attack the marketplace, and understanding that in order to gain the most impact into the market would be through a systems integrator channel, not just relying on direct automotive or tier automotive type style clients, which are very important, but general industry and having system integrators to support that general industry was one of your goals. Is that not correct?
It is correct, and if I could unpack that even a little further.
Please do. I said a lot.
In terms of a few things you touched on, in terms of that commitment, one thing that Fanuc did differently is they entered into the JV with General Motors to create a fully independent, autonomous entity with U.S. management for the U.S. marketplace. Mm-hmm. And that was a distinctly different commitment from some of the other players at the time that kind of set up satellite operations, but they were not nearly so autonomous as we were, and continue to be to this day. I think another strength of ours are our two parents. I mean, General Motors at the time, 1982, they were the biggest car company in the world. Of course, they ran into issues later on. We all know that. But again, you go back to 1982 and two incredibly strong parents like GM and Fanuc launching this new enterprise in the Americas and supporting it really well. So that was a big strength of ours. Another strength that it's sort of part of our culture. I don't know how necessarily strategic it was. It's just the way that it evolved. But we've had incredible stability at the highest levels of our leadership. So if you go back to that in 1982 and you start globally in Japan, and you count the number of gentlemen who have occupied the corner office there, and it's 3. Dr. Esanaba, who kicked off the JV, then his son, Dr. Wayanaba, who's still our chairman, and now Mr. Yamaguchi, who's our president and global CEO. So that's at the top level. Drop down to Fanuc America, you visit the corner office here, and the number of guys who have occupied that office is 3 again. So a guy by the name of Eric Mittelstadt was a General Motors executive that came over to launch the company, came over to GMF. He was succeeded by Rick Schneider, who guided us through a pretty significant growth period. Right. And today we're fortunate to have Mike Chico, who's just, if you know Mike, just a great ambassador for our company and for the industry. So that the consistency of our leadership, the consistency of the vision, the strategy, you want to talk about that kind of rallying the troops and getting them all pulling in the same direction. That's a big deal. And that won't come out on any investor report or anything like that. But I have the benefit of that perspective and seeing those 3 leaders in globally and locally kind of guide us through some pretty significant growth and success, and I think that's a big part of it. And then Joe, if I'll just now, so that was me riffing a little bit in terms of some other factors, but then to touch on your point about our partners like PSA, that again was I guess it was a little more strategic in that we launched the new baby in 1982, GMF Robotics, and things were going great. If you look, we were so heavily automotive at that time. If you go back and look at historical automotive sales, they were going gangbusters in the early 80s, and life was good. And then 86, the 86 recession came, and there was a significant downturn in our business because we were so heavily, not just heavily automotive, but heavily General Motors. And we realized, wow, these automotive cycles are going to be a rough ride. Mm-hmm. And so how do we diversify? And so we struck out into the non-automotive marketplace and right away realized one thing, and that was, it wasn't like the big 3. These new customers that we were encountering didn't necessarily aspire to come to Detroit to meet with their robot suppliers. So our first step to reach that non-automotive audience was to begin setting up our network of regional facilities. And in those early days, the charter of those facilities was, hey, we're going to go out, we're going to staff them with engineers. We're going to do automation systems for all our customers. Mm-hmm. And boy, it didn't take long to realize that the non-automotive space is just so diverse. Mm-hmm. From pharmaceutical to food to aerospace to, you name it, med device. There's no way that we could serve them all. And in 1996, we made a conscious decision to establish what we call our Authorized System Integrator Network, which is our network of relationships to get after the general industrial space, general industrial non-automotive. We use them kind of interchangeably. Right. And that's been a huge part of our success. That was absolutely the right strategy, and that's really been the bulk of our success outside of the automotive market.
So, Joe, you're getting an MBA class right now. Yeah. what you just ran through, but I want to jump back. Forgive me, Joe. I'm kind of fired up myself.
Go ahead. Love it.
You hit my hot button. I knew Joe was thinking Marty's going to love that. When you mentioned the word culture, I'm a culture guy. I'm into that. Joe hears me all the time talking about stuff like that here at PSA because I work along PSA with different things. And so I guess my question is, I see on our notes here value proposition. Do you talk about your culture when you're presenting to whoever, direct customers or your integrators? Is that part of your story, if you will, that ingratiates people to you?
I'll tell you, it's part of Dick Motley's story pretty consistently because I think it is important. I think that um, the consistency of that leadership, the consistency of the vision, the consistency of that strategy, those are all things that build trust. You know, that Fanuc America is going to be the same partner tomorrow and 5 years from now and 15 years from now that we are today. And that's a partner you can rely on for the long term. So I do think it's an important message that needs to be communicated to our customers.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay, Joe.
Marty, and I think that also matriculates down through the organization and that stability, that mindset. Because I'll tell you, working with other OEMs that may not have that stability, it is a breath of fresh air knowing that support, that structure, the stability, the consistency is there time and time again. That when you reach out for assistance, you're going to get it in an expedient manner. So yeah, from a systems integrator perspective, we appreciate that, and it's very well known, and I think it's known in the industry for sure. So, Marty, you did talk about that value proposition, and that being one of them. But I think Fanuc has just a number of value propositions that you can prop themselves up with. So, Dick, I'd like you just to go through a few of them and then some examples of each, if you could.
Okay, sure. Maybe one of the most important things, that to me is closely connected to that trust element is the way that we back our products. We have a logo and a slogan. It's service first, but what it really is service for life. And we make a commitment that we will provide service and support for any Fanuc product as long as the customer wants to run it. And I've personally seen evidence. I've seen robots from the 80s and the 90s where we've supported those. So that's another big trust factor, right? That not only can you rely on Fanuc as a partner, but you can rely on their technology, and that it'll be supported as long as you want to keep it in production. So that's an important element, an important part of our value proposition. I think another thing that is part of our value proposition is the level of support that we're able to bring to our customers. So, like for an integrator like PSA that's in our network, it starts actually with our frontline salespeople, most of whom came out of our engineering groups. So most of them are very capable engineers themselves and can contribute at a high level to concept development, application validation, those kinds of things. But then kind of tying into my earlier comments about our network of regional facilities, those frontline salespeople are all backed up by a local regional facility close to the customer or closer to the customer than Detroit probably, where we have engineering resources, brick, mortar, engineering resources, training facilities, robots, all local or relatively local to our customers. And then backing them up are the resources and assets that we have here at our headquarters in Southeast Michigan. So we have an engineering group we call our application segment, which is actually where I started my career with Fanuc, which is subject matter experts in different application verticals, and also subject matter experts in their specific product portfolios that they manage, and then one step beyond that is a group that that was established at the foundation of the company. There was a product development group that came over from General Motors that had developed a hydraulic painting robot for General Motors. That was kind of the genesis of a dedicated, triple-digit engineering resource for co-development with our parent in Japan. And those folks, I could tell 10 stories about how they helped us be more responsive to the marketplace in the Americas and address customer needs. So those layers of support are really unmatched in the industry, and that's also a big part of our value proposition. And the last thing I'll add that is somewhat related to that service first, service for life. You can probably appreciate it. It'd be hard to make that commitment if your products weren't reliable, right?
Yep.
you'd have
Yep.
you'd have stuff breaking all over and be stuck with it for life. One of the reasons we're so comfortable making that commitment is we've just got an outstanding reputation for reliability with our servo motor and motion control technology at the heart of our robots. It's the most widely used industrial servo platform out there, and again, that's at the heart of every product we sell. So that's a big part of our value proposition as well. That reliability is almost a sub brand of Fanuc.
Wow.
Yeah, and you certainly have a very deep product portfolio as well, from industrial robots, Delta robots, collaborative robots. It always seems like you're on the forefront. Fanuc stays on the forefront of seeing what's coming into the marketplace and reacting to it. And if they're not the first ones in, they make darn sure that when they do approach the market with a solution or product, that it's ready to go and it's robust. And can you speak a little bit more about that when you talk about product development? I don't know if you're ever involved in that, but it's something they must take to heart, and they really spend an awful lot of effort, time and money, to making sure their products are robust and ready for market.
Absolutely, absolutely. Wow, Joe, there's so many things I could touch on there, but let's start with the product line. Um, our servo technology gets applied, of course, in our robots. We'll also sell a package of servo motors and a motion controller to a machine builder, like a CNC machine builder. And then we also have some uh, specialty manufacturing machines that we make ourselves. We've got a high precision electric injection molding machine we call the RoboShot. We've got a milling, drilling, tapping machine, small machine that we call the Robo Drill. But again, at the heart of that, every one of those is a Fanuc motor. But when you get into robots, you're absolutely right. We've got a product line that ranges from a little, 1 pound capacity, high speed little Delta robot up to a 2.5 ton monster capacity robot. That's the most powerful electric robot in the world, and then everything in between. And we have some sort of process specific robots, like you would expect. A painting robot is somewhat specialized because it goes into what can be a hazardous explosive vapor or solvent vapor environment. So we've got process robots like that. Our arc welding family of robots makes it easy to deliver arc welding wire down through the wrist so that it's easy to attach the torch and manipulate it for a welding process. We've got environmental adaptations for clean room and food. And this is just the mechanical side, right? When you get into the controller and software side, there's just an incredible array of software options that make it easy to use our own vision technology, which is integral to our controller, to adapt to third-party devices, other third-party vision systems, other sensors, and so forth. Um, Communicate with just about anything. You want to communicate with a PLC. You want to communicate with a plant network. You want to so all those options are in the portfolio to help our customers and in particular our integrators pick from the toolbox what they need to develop a robust production solution.
Joe, if I can jump in again, forgive me. Let's go a little deeper. Meaning, how do you do that? That's easy to say, that we do all these things. We're
Yeah.
innovators, we're leaders, we're in first, we set the tones. How do you do that? Do you have a skunk works kind of situation? Do you have a special innovation group? Am I asking questions is it okay, the questions I'm asking? Am I making sense?
Yeah, you're making perfect sense, and it's I, I find myself wanting to say it takes a village, but that's too corny, right? So
That's okay.
it really does come from a number of sources in terms of product needs we see in the marketplace. We have our own sales team. We get fantastic feedback from our integrators.
There you go.
because they're out there interacting with the end user community and recognizing what the end users want to do, and then they're able to articulate back to us, hey, we love it when an integrator says the sentence, Fanuc, we love your technology, but it would be really great if you could.
Mm.
When they say that, finish that sentence, that's like throwing a steak bone to a dog. I mean, we just really enjoy that kind of feedback. So,
Yeah.
and then there's a formal process where we get together globally. The Fanuc group globally gets together with the Americas represented, Europe represented, Asia Pacific represented, and we all bring market
Mm.
priorities that we see in our local markets. And you know, not unexpectedly, the candidate developments that go across all markets are probably the ones that get the highest priority. But that's not to say they're the ones that get the only priority.
Yeah.
And
Well, well, even your answer is distinctive. A lot of companies hear that from integrators or from customers, but not all companies respond.
Right.
yeah,
So you responding and taking that as serious as you do and having the answers you do, that's distinctive. That's part of your culture,
Right.
I
yes,
would assume.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
certainly listening and then actually taking it back to the mothership and then doing something about it is key, because hearing it, listening and hearing is one thing, but then actually taking that information and bringing products to bear upon request is really important, and that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah,
Uh,
agreed, agreed.
yeah, well, I don't want to forget this, and I want to rewind a little bit back to the beginning where I mentioned you have two patents, and I don't want to get too far away from that, but can you, two patents, what's it related to? Is automation, but what are the two patents all about?
Oh wow. Okay, so one of
You
them,
can share it.
yeah, one of them. I think the patent might be etched in a stone tablet somewhere because it's that old. But when I was when I was part of that automation group at General Electric, the appliance guys came to us with a what at the time was a really difficult challenge of um, detecting a feature on. It was actually a refrigerator. Imagine the steel box of a refrigerator, but now lay it out flat. So you got this steel sheet going by, and of course there's notches in the corners where you fold that up, and the refrigeration guy said, hey, we need you to find those notches and perform an operation based on where you find those notches, and the the line speed of the roll forming line where the sheet was going by was like 300 feet a minute, is what I recall, such that those notches went by in a few milliseconds. And there was no way you were going to find those and act on them given PLC scan times at the time. Maybe they're better today, but there's no way you were going to capture that and do anything with it. So I did a hybrid hardwired solid state circuit that would did some solid state logic that found those notches and performed the appropriate function, and then complemented that with kind of some supervisory on off fault recovery stuff that actually did run on a PLC. So that was novel at the time. Like I said, probably seems like old tech now, but it
Yeah,
was
it's
novel
good.
at the time. And then the second one was during my career here at Fanuc, and we had we have a product series in our line that's kind of a hybrid articulated arm and gantry, and we had a customer that had an application where they were interested in mounting a large number of those gantry robots on the same rail, such that collision avoidance among all the arms zipping around was a real challenge. And I cooperated with our development organization to develop the collision avoidance algorithms that would keep from having expensive accidents with all those robots zipping around on the rail.
Wow. Well, that's cool. So it leads up to my next question, because certainly today in manufacturing, we're seeing some hurdles that some of these manufacturers, whether it be in industrial like welding, or whether it be in packaging or goods to service and logistics, there's some hurdles for them getting into the automation market and investing in robotics. So some of those things that you come up with that can help level out the playing field.